Hello, my name is Antonio, and this is the commentary for Cooking with Brennen Mac and Cheese, which is the ninth episode of season 2, the penultimate episode of season 2. So this one is an interesting one. This is another episode that initially had a very different direction with it that I was going to be taking. Initially, when I was thinking of what I wanted to do with season 2 of Cooking with Brennen, I wanted to have some sort of song incorporated. Like I love making the one-off songs every now and then, and I just wanted to do some sort of song for a Cooking with Brennen episode, just because like we never really did that before. I mean, obviously we did the cleaning the grill song in the summer episode, but other than that, like there really hasn't been like a huge like music component to it, which is fine. But I wanted to do some episode to like have it stand out in that way. And so the idea that I came up with was that Brennen was going to make mac and cheese in an episode, and he was going to rap about making mac and cheese. And it would have been like this whole rap song incorporated into the video as just like another part of it. Like it would have just been like more or less a standard Cooking with Brennen episode, but then incorporating like a song. And that's what we were going to do. But to put it kind of simply, it just didn't end up working out like time wise to do that, just because like making music for these videos is a very involved process on its own. I don't always have a lot of like, I'm not like the most musically inclined person. Like I like making the like kind of stupid rap songs, but like I don't know how to like produce music and all that. Like a lot of times pretty much every time I just take like royalty free beats off of YouTube and then just like put rap over it. That's a lot of reason why I do a lot of rap songs, is because you don't have to sing, because I don't know how to use like auto tune or any of that. So if we were gonna make a song, it would have been a rap song. But I just ended up kind of feeling like there wasn't enough time to really commit to doing that, because filming these episodes in and of itself is an involved process. Like it takes a whole day to film these episodes, like let alone like the fact that we have to film the regular parts of it in the kitchen, and then we have to film the villain parts of it in my room at my house in Corvallis, or my apartment rather. And so it just kind of like felt a little bit like it would have been a little bit much to incorporate a song, because that probably would have added an entire day or two, at least 2 more days of filming, because we would have had to film Brennan's lyrics. We would have had to like record those on a separate occasion, and then we would have probably had to film the entire music video on a separate occasion, because that's usually like an entire day. And so overall it would have turned from like a 1 to 2 day thing into like literally like a 4 day to probably 5 day endeavor. So I just ended up like coming to the conclusion, like, I don't think I'm going to end up doing a song. And I was just, I was a little bummed about that, because I was excited to do some sort of song. But at the end of the day, I was just like, I just want, another thing about doing that is it would have kind of like been a little bit more how am I trying to put this? It would have been like less relevant to the like plot of these episodes. Like it would have felt a little bit more disjointed if I did that. I mean, I probably, because like in the actual episode itself, this is another one to where the villains are a lot less like consequential to what like Brennen and I are doing. It's kind of just like the villains show up at the beginning. We establish that Stabby is trying to catch Frank, and then a normal episode of Cooking with Brennen plays. And then at the end, the villain is like, I don't like Brennen, we're going to get him. And that's more or less what happens. And I think like if we did incorporate the song, I guess like the final breaking point for the villain would have been like, oh, I hate this song. I want to go get Brennen now. But obviously we didn't end up doing a song, so it just ended up being like, I think the excuse that I ended up like coming up with was like, oh yeah, Brennen and Antonio get really like sappy and emotional at the end, and then that makes the villain pissed or whatever. I don't know, some reason. It was like, no matter what reason I would have came up with, the villain was always gonna like come to the point to where he was gonna try to take down Brennen. So I just had to come up with some sort of reason that like made sense in the context of the episode for that to happen. But yeah, we scrapped the idea of the song. I don't even know if Brennan knows that we were originally going to do a song, because by the time that we got around to filming this episode, like I just scrapped that idea. I was just like, we're just not going to do it. But I still think like this episode, like this is probably like overall, this is like a fairly like like nothing crazy happens in this episode. Like if you take out the villain stuff, like at least in like the Frank episode, like the villains are very inconsequential to that episode. But at least like the fact that Frank is in it kind of makes it feel like more of a special episode. By all means, this mac and cheese episode is a pretty standard episode, besides the fact that it doesn't really have like a conclusion, because the conclusion kind of ends with the villains. But other than that, like it's pretty much just like a no frills Cooking with Brennan episode, which is okay. You know what I mean? I think like it was kind of good to have like one last episode like that to end off the season. But it like I do think like this video had more potential in a way that we didn't necessarily tap into as much. But at the end of the day, it was still a fun one to do. And it does like I do think like it's a good like just send off to the standard episodes, because obviously the final episode is a lot more involved, a lot more is going on in that one. But this one is just it's a more grounded one. It's a more like normal episode, more or less, other than the fact that like there's the villains and it just kind of happens. I remember part of like the filming of this episode, I had to scream really loud from like the other room, and that was like in the script. And then I remember after we got done filming that day, my voice was just killing me. Like, I don't know what I did. I went too hard. Like, I don't know how, but basically, like, I ended up screaming so loud that the next day it felt like I was sick. It felt like I had a sore throat, which I guess I did. I literally couldn't talk. Like, it was that bad. Like, I tried to talk and it would just come out all like squeaky, like whatever I did. I was like legit worried that I like threw my voice out for good. But that's just like my paranoid side coming through. But, yeah, that was like pretty bad. And then that's kind of when I realized like, okay, maybe we're not going to write as much like episodes or like videos where I scream at the top of my lungs. Like, we don't really have to do that. But yeah, that was like pretty much the most like standard part, or that was like the most like stand out part of this video to me. Like I said, it's very, very much like more or less a pretty simple episode other than that. But, it's still like, I still think it's good as the penultimate episode. Like I think it works in that regard. And it definitely ends off on like what's going to happen next. I think it was cool involving the plot point to where Stabby captures Frank, because that actually ends up being continued in a different non-Cooking with Brennan video, Frank's for the Memories. We see at the very end of that, like that's a very much like a standalone video until the end, to where we see like, oh shoot, Stabby captured Frank. I mean, we see that at the end of this video, but in that Frank's for the Memories video, we kind of like see the build up to that happen, which is kind of cool. I liked doing that. I thought it was really cool to have like sort of like almost like that like MCU style continuity between my videos, to where like each video kind of feels standalone, but then at the end, or like just in some way they connect to each other. Like I just thought that was like a pretty cool idea, a pretty cool concept to have happen there. But yeah, like this was the final. This was for a while there. This was the final Cooking with Brennan episode. Like the actual final episode took a long time to come out after this one came out, and it definitely did not intend to happen that way. It just kind of did. I intended on uploading the final episode. I mean, I'll talk about this in the inevitable commentary of the final episode, but I intended on uploading that one like at least like no more than a couple months after this one, after the mac and cheese episode, but that didn't end up happening. But it ended up working out. Like all the videos came out eventually. But yeah, this one was a special one. It was the last like standard Cooking with Brennan episode, and it will be remembered for that. But yeah, that's going to conclude this commentary video. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. I'll leave that in at the end.